Strange New Worlds, Episode 5. If I'm not mistaken, this is the halfway point of the show. It's 10 episodes. I think that's the case. Normally in a show similar to this, or adjacent to this, with Episode 5, things find their footing. We are taking off in our story. We're going down to new narrative directions. We're taking chances. We're doing things we had to get done in the first couple episodes to get where we're going. Things take big swings now. They're making big strides. They're doing new stuff. That's the case of a lot of shows. The thing about Strange New Worlds is it said, no, babe, we got you. Let's take a minute. Let's step back. Let's have some shore leave. This is essentially a shore leave. Like, they don't actually go to a planet. They just go to a big station because the Enterprise needs to recharge after their events of the last episode. They're going to take a minute, find their footing, connect again, and just relax. And I'm like, that is super cool. Because that's again, another very classic Star Trek thing. Let's take some time to just, like, power down, de-stress from the situation we just had, and grow from it. Maybe learn a new lesson. But the thing about this episode, too, is just kind of some hijinks, which is another classic thing of Star Trek. I hope people can accept, be a little goofy, get a little weird, do some funny stuff. That's what this episode did. We have a couple stories that interlock and do some funny stuff, but I think overall, I really like the tone that this one did. Last week was just like the end of the world is here, the ship is going down, our crew is dying, no one's getting off alive, but we somehow managed to break through it. This time around, as Spock would say, I don't like getting involved in hijinks, but we're going to get involved in some hijinks. So they're docked down for a bit, the crew gets some shore leave, everyone's going to go on their merry way and have some fun. That's pretty much the crux of this. That's the main story. But again, because this is the episodic thing, we focus on a new person each week. This is the story of Spock, kind of the one I was waiting for, because it felt like in these earlier episodes, he hasn't been the central focus, and I get that. You have to build that up a little bit more. Here he is. He left T'Pring pretty prematurely before they were to be wed, and we see, like, okay, he wants to make it work and figure out what to do with himself now. How are they going to make this relationship work? It kind of, like, we see it form in this episode through the beginning, which is a dream that Spock is having, where his human side is bogging him down from being enough for T'Pring. He has a fight scene against himself in his dream where they're using those cool weapons I don't know the name of. Some Spock on Spock action is never a bad thing. It looked incredibly good here. I love the way Vulcan looks in this. Like the whole planet just looks amazing. Everything about it just feels awesome. It's such a cool style. I really like that. So he wakes up from his dream and suddenly he's having these feelings like, I don't know if I'm enough for T'Pring. Is my human side going to be a factor that keeps us from being who we should be together? How's that going to affect ourselves? How are we going to be enough for each other? So T'Pring's coming to the ship. They're just going to, consummate their newfound engagement because they haven't done it yet. Spock left before they can get the next step of that lovey-dovey stuff. They get there. He's called away again. Again. Can't find time for this girl. He's got to prioritize the relationship. He's learning a lesson about putting the lady first once in a while. And yeah, that's exactly what we should see here, because it's fun. Again, that relationship could go either way for this show. Could either be this is going to stay in the longevity for a lot of stuff. It could go that she's going to die and have the tragedy build for Spock, or it could be he's just a player and the entire time he's out in the galaxy, he's connected to this woman. We'll see what happens. Gets called away for a diplomatic meeting with these new aliens that want to join the Federation. It's like, are they going to join? Well, Spock is the closest thing to their species thinking of logic, while this new species thinks in empathy, so they're going to work together to figure stuff out. Because of this, Spock misses his dinner date. Now his lady's like, well, I don't know if we're good together. Maybe we need to understand each other in a better way. So what do? They're going to do some old Vulcan thing where it's kind of like a mind meld thing, but it's like a more ritualistic thing than that. And accidentally doing this ritual makes T'Pring and Spock swap bodies. So hijinks ensues, and they go into some hijinks where T'Pring and Spock's body has to go talk once again to these new aliens who are looking to join the Federation, and Spock and T'Pring's body has to go do her job, which is kind of interesting. She's like finding these Vulcans who strayed away from the side of logic and are now looking to return or be rehabilitated into Vulcan society based on their necessity or their need. to be logical again. I'm like, that's kind of a fun idea. It's kind of like a corrections officer. It's just like, yeah, focus on logic. Quit thinking about these other things. And they learn the lesson in the end of how to help each other out. And I'm just like, yeah, I'm for it. That's really fun. Hijinks ensued. Everything worked really well. I like the way that worked out. One of the other things I kind of like that this episode did, it's a small moment, but I like it, is just slowly establishing this kind of friendship and kinship being built up between Spock and Christine Chapel. Original series fan here, there's something there that could be written or unwritten between those characters, which I think is very fascinating. I like the way that Christine's just like, I'm just going to go have fun. You know, me and Ortega, we're going to go down to the bars, have some fun, meet some guys we've known before and some ladies, which I'm like, hey, okay, way to do that. It's a little bit of a wink and a nod in that respect. But you see Spock kind of just having a sad moment because he messed up things with his lady. She goes to help him. And there's just a couple moments where these two are on screen together. We just hold on the camera a little bit longer than what we would if this was not a romantic idea. And again, I don't think it's going to go towards a romantic idea. Maybe not yet. Maybe there'll be a history we explore later on as we go for it. But it's like you're slowly teeing up this idea that there's those longing looks. And I think that's kind of a cool thing to see. Christine was pretty good in this episode. Like, I think she's going to get her moment to focus in some episode at some point. She was really fun to see. I like the way they built up that relationship and the way it culminates with him into Pring's body. Just punches the Vulcan like, hey, that's how we're going to get you to rehabilitate. I'm going to use my human emotion to connect you back. That was fun. That made for some great moments. I did enjoy seeing that. Their friendship was really cool. Just the way they explored that. And she's just like, I understand you. You understand me. We'll return the favor at some point. Everything is hunky-dory. We are accepting our limitations. We understand the world we're a part of. No need to do anything else but that. Very cool. Not a lot of manga in this episode. I get that. He's got a cool hat on in a bit. You know, it's like a nice little fisherman hat. He wants to go fishing. You know, he's also going to meet a nice lady doctor and consult a couple of ideas medically. And I'm like, that's fun. That's cool. And as the Spock's story is the main focus, there's kind of like a sub-story again where hijinks ensues, where Leon Noonien Singh and Una Chin Riley, they are kind of like the wet blankets aboard the Enterprise. And as everyone's beaming down for their shore leave, they finally learn this is where fun goes to die. These two making sure everybody else is having fun. So what do? They're going to play some Enterprise Bingo. Was it called Enterprise Bingo? Yeah, not Starfleet Bingo, right? It was Enterprise Bingo. They're just going to have fun by doing things that other people do to have fun. And I'm like, yeah, that's fun. Like you got some time to pad in this episode. I get that. I think this was a fun narrative just to throw it through and have some good times with them. They're trying to enjoy each other. When Una gets shot, it's pretty funny. I like seeing that. I had a lot of expectations, I think, for the Leon character and where her narrative was going to go. And I like that they're kind of just switching it up from that, where you're like, oh, she's distinctively going to be the hard-edged badass. But she's like, no, I like being a part of Starfleet. I kind of think we should try to have fun. Maybe we're missing something about this, but there's also nothing wrong with liking your work. Like, we can like what we do and still think that's fun. That was just okay, I get it. You guys aren't the wet blankets. You just think this is fun while other people think it's work. So that's kind of a cool thing to do. A nice little side story for them to get their stuff going on. I did enjoy seeing that. And of course, we have to talk about Anson Mount. We can't go an episode without talking about him. What's up with his hair? I don't know enough about Anson Mount outside of the series to know if that's his real hair or not. But the volume at which it stands is impressive, especially for a man of his age. I don't mean that in a negative way. I'm just like, the way that hair is standing still so perfectly, it's amazing. I adore it. And he does not have a big role in this episode, and that's fine. But he does get a little bit of a classic original series nod in there, wearing the green suit. The green suit that Kirk wore at some point. Looking a little more green than in the original series, but hey, that's a nice outfit. It looks very clean, very sharp. He does get a nice moment where he kind of helps to Pring understand what Spock is feeling in these situations. Like, hey, maybe he doesn't get to be the best Vulcan all the time, but we value and appreciate all the work he does here, even if he doesn't get to explore it or say it. He is a valued member of this team, of this ship, of the Starfleet. I'm like, that's pretty cool. It's actually saying something about the need to have your identity be seen when it could just become muffled up in a cloud of other identities. I'm like, that's a really fun idea that I think is very Starfleet. It's like, no, we're not just about the collective, we're about the unique individual identity. Maybe you can't see it all the time, but each member of our team, each member of Starfleet, of our crew, anybody on board, their opinions matter, their views matter, who they are matters. And that's kind of like the saying thing that gets this new species to be like, oh, I guess we could learn something about Starfleet. Like, our ideas are still going to be valued and upheld. Maybe that's something we could learn. It's a nice moment, helps to Pring and Spock connect better, and at the end of the episode, they finally get to consummate that engagement. What they have been waiting for, and what we as the fans have been waiting for, I think, since the beginning. Just seeing some Vulcans getting ready to make some Vulcan love, and I really dug that. Just great. Just a great episode. It just said, let's step back, let's have some hijinks, swapping bodies, we'll swap back, we'll help each other find love, we'll play some games, shoot each other on stun mode, have some great hair and great outfits, and just make great television. And that's what this episode was. It's shore leave, take a moment to yourself, relax, recharge before we get on to our next adventure, see what our crew is up to. Turns out they're doing some fun stuff on their downtime. I like seeing that. I like when some hijinks can ensue and make it work, and that is why this episode works really well. Just a great way to do it. Absolutely perfect. And that's going to do it for this review of Star Trek Strange New Worlds. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. Be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. As always, you can check me out on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter. And as always, I will catch you in the next one. Have fun. Stay safe. Good luck. I forgot to do this. Did it?